Hey there, you surf guitar people. Hey, I'm gonna give you some information about this tremolo on this thing. This is a Jaguar Jazzmaster. It applies to Fenders as well. They're very, very similar. They're almost identical, as a matter of fact. This just doesn't have this tremolo stop. Anyway, this thing was making lots of noise, crunching and creaking and clicking. It was awful, and it has taken me quite a while to figure this thing out. Dave Ronsky from Slacktone, he has a pretty good video on what he did to this thing. And these three screws right here attach a little plate that acts as the hinge for this. It's underneath. The edges are really square, and especially on this Squire, they're not deburred or anything. The quality is low. You know, they mass produce and make them in a hurry, I guess, and so that's not a big deal. Anyway, he's on his video, he rounded the edges of one and used that, and I did that too, and it worked pretty good. And a little bit of lubrication on it when you put it back together doesn't hurt either. Just some Vaseline or grease. I use lith grease, white lith grease. Anyway, but that didn't get rid of the sound. It was still making noise when I put it back together. And here's the mistake I made. When I put it back together, I just went ahead and tightened these screws and just cranked them tight and tightened the thing up and put everything back together. And it was still making the noise. I couldn't believe it. And anyway, here's what fixed it. Put it back together. When you put it back together, don't tighten those screws yet. Just snug them up a little bit. Leave them pretty loose. And then put it back together. Tighten all the strings and operate the tremolo arm a few times, and make sure, and even hit this a little bit, make sure that everything has gone as far forward as you can get it. And then, one at a time, loosen the high E and the low E strings, and tighten those screws back up, in the middle one obviously. And after I did that, no more problems. And I can go both directions. Well, it makes the noise if you top out, obviously, but anyway, that fixed it. Also, to help along the way, which I think has helped overall, I shimmed the neck. I shimmed the heel of the neck. This end only 30 thousandths, and that changed the angle just enough to raise the bridge up a little bit, and that puts a little more tension on the strings, which make them sit in the saddles better. It actually increased the sustain. It makes everything work better if you do that, and it gets the string up off these screws on the ends. As you can see, it worked pretty good. Anyway, I hope that helps somebody, because it took me a month to figure this out. It's been making noise and driving me crazy. Anyway, it's very good right now. It makes zero noise, and hopefully that'll help somebody out. Here's one more thing, another source of noise on these things. That tremolo arm sits down into that collet right there. It doesn't fit perfectly tight. You can see the gap around it. Well, if you don't have it sitting all the way down in there to where that radius right here is actually down in there, it's gonna go back and forth. And now watch, you can actually see this, see it moving back and forth. Hear it? That's that. Just push it all the way back down in there. Just shove it all the way down, and once that radius is in there, then it can't move. Here, it doesn't make any noise now. Anyway, there we go.